Okay, so the title of this video should actually probably be tax preparer versus tax strategist, but I know a lot of people don't know that, so it's a little bit less clickable because the pain that you typically feeling is you don't ever hear from your accounting people. So I want to call it what it needs to be called to get you the information that you actually need to get. So let's dive into why your accountant probably only call you once a year, and it's really the conversation between a tax preparer and a tax strategist. All right, hold on, baby. I'm taping you. You need some. What you need? Oh, come on, hurry up. Hurry up, I'm taking. You had a good day at school?
Yeah.
Good. You want a hug too?
Yeah.
Come on, baby. You had a good day at school?
Yeah.
All right. All right, let me get back to work.
Okay.
All right. So, the silence, the lack of communication, all of that stuff that people complain about, a lot of times it ain't even a lot of time. Most of the time you having issues with an accountant, it's a communication issue and it's a clarity issue on what you're actually getting. So the theme of this video is going to be just talking to you about the differences, the expectations that should be set and that sort of thing, because chances are you're not really dealing with a bad accountant. You got the wrong type of professional for what you need. So tax prep is a product, not a relationship. And I think that's one of the key things that people need to know. It's really like a one wham bam thank you ma'am, a one time a year or one season a year sort of thing. So the same way that you're reaching out expecting communication, they're wondering why you reaching out expecting communication. And I guess the bridge is clarity. Like no one knows what to expect. They don't know why you're doing it. You don't know why they don't expect you to do it. And it's really because you're working with tax prep. So let me give you ideas of what a tax preparer, I should say. Give you an idea of what that actually is. Actually, Chris, can you close my door? I can barely hear myself think. It be lively at Right Choice, man. I can hear her voice as loud as my voice in here. I don't know if you can hear it on the camera. Okay, cool. All right, so examples of tax preparation, right? We thinking your people that pop up once a year. They may be open all year, but I'm thinking your H&R Block, your TurboTax, your Jackson Hewitt, if that's still around. These places that are tax prep places, that random lady or dude that pop up and be like, yeah, I do taxes with the arms all tight. Those people, those are tax preparers. You don't hear them talking all throughout the year. You don't see them selling all throughout the year. You just know when them W-2s start dropping, they start dropping. When it's time to get here, you may start hearing the end of the year because they want you to come bring those taxes. So those are people who their job is to prepare taxes. So yes, their job is practically January to April every year, and outside of January and April, they're off to something else, or they doing nothing. I know plenty of people that work those solid 4 months, work their butts off, and take the rest of the year off. And if you dealing with people and you reach out to them in August, September, and you don't hear nothing, you may just be dealing with someone who they do tax prep. So they're not even expecting you to be reaching out to them. So you have to be really, really, really locked in on who you paying and what you paying them for. Because that once a year, that few times a year, that seasonal communication, that ain't neglect, y'all. That's literally what you paying them to do. So tax strategy, that's a different animal. And you can typically tell the difference between the two based on how much you paying. I don't think I've seen a tax strategist that will offer a tax strategist for less than $2,500, $3,000, depending on what you're getting. It's not uncommon to see $10,000, $20,000 tax strategy. So if you paying $300, $800, $1,000, $1,500 for an S corp, y'all, those are tax preparation fees. You're not going to get any of that forward-looking strategy because that's a different level of expertise. That's a different professional. And y'all know that, like, depending on, no matter what you do, there's a difference between the people that do the work and the people that strategize. And that's across the board. It's a difference between the secretary that sits at the front desk and the attorney in the back who's coming up with the legal plan. So you have to think about that because accounting has that all throughout. It's very similar, like your tax preparers, your bookkeepers. They're going to need to be paired with strategists if you want that full picture. So when you're thinking about strategists, you're going to be thinking about CPA firms like a Right Choice. We do tax preparation, but what the people actually come to us for is the strategy. How do I save on taxes? That's tax strategy, not prep. So if you come to us, even us, and you So we're here year round, so the communication ain't ever bad, and we explain this. But you come to us, you want a single member LLC tax return done. You know that's $800. We're gonna do $800. That doesn't mean we're gonna help you save. No, that's literally us getting the information, pulling it. We're gonna do all we can do as we're entering it. If we see like some creative ways or some strategic ways, I shouldn't say creative as a accounting professional, but some strategic ways to move things around, let you can contribute to your 401k, stuff like that. Yes, we're well equipped, so we do that kind of thing, but that's not high level strategy where we're going through your profit, going through your income, and coming up with actual plans to help you almost pick your tax bill. Like the clients at Right Choice that work with us on an ongoing basis, they pick their taxes. So when you're thinking about a firm like that, that's different than your H&R Block. That's different than your Jackson Hewitt. Hold on real quick. Sorry. I'm gonna say, got on the roll, got thirsty over here. But yeah, let me check notes to make sure I'm not missing anything. But yeah, so when you are just looking at tax prep versus tax strategy, it's important to make sure you understand exactly what it is you bought and exactly who you're buying it from. A tax strategist is typically going to be qualified. Now, I won't say it always has to be a CPA or an enrolled agent, but it needs to be someone who's been doing it for a long time who actually understands the code. If you're talking to a tax strategist and they kind of belittle the need for bookkeeping, you probably talking to the wrong people, because every single thing you do as far as tax prep as a small business owner, it starts with those books. It starts with making sure you got all those expenses recorded so that you can get an accurate profit number, so that you can actually do accurate tax projections. Tax projections are what allow you to do tax strategy, because if you can project what it is currently, you can start to play with the idea of what things can be done to lower it. And that's all strategy is. So you need to be working with a professional that understands it at that level. That's different than somebody who get documents and enter it into the system they use. So just make sure you understand who you're paying, because you don't want to buy one thing with the full expectation of the other thing. And you have to be careful, because a lot of the actual practitioners don't even know that you're thinking like that. So, yeah, I'll leave it there. I won't over talk it on that one. I'm a yapper, but there's no need to yap on that one. And a lot of times that communication, that once, twice a year communication. So just imagine if you had a business that only operated really from mid-January through April. You may start looking for ways to make money from April to December. So that's why a lot of people who have bookkeepers or think they're doing bookkeeping or think they have a bookkeeper who also do their taxes and get bad communication, is because you really working with a tax preparer who needed a way to make some money for the rest of the year. So they started doing bookkeeping. So a bookkeeper is a function of accounting. You just have to understand that your bookkeeper needs to be of accounting versus tax, because the goal of books are to make clear, clean decisions based on your accounting. It's not to file your taxes. So a lot of times tax preparers start offering bookkeeping and they don't know they're supposed to communicate numbers, because it's just a different service for them. You know what I mean? I hope am I making sense, Chris? I hope this makes a lot of sense, because what it is it's always misunderstanding, and I think anybody who's in business, how important setting expectations are, because if you don't set or properly set expectations, people gonna make up their own, right? People gonna come to the table with their own expectations, and a lot of times communication just ain't as smooth in our generation. You know what I'm saying? Like, people will be expecting one thing, bookkeeper, tax preparer, whatever, expecting a different thing, and nobody's having a conversation about what I expect, what I thought I was paying for. Nobody having that conversation. It's just, I don't feel like I'm getting good service. And of course your tax preparer like, nah, I did everything I was supposed to do. What are you talking about? And you like, well, I'm just not getting as much as I need. And it's just confused. What more do you need? You pay me to do your taxes. I did your taxes. What are we talking about? And the whole time you like, well, no, like other people talk about all the savings and stuff they get. Like, are there some things I could be doing to like save? And the tax preparer may just not know. You know what I'm saying? They may not even know what you're talking about. That ain't they lane. So it's almost always miscommunication. And like I say, when tax preparers get into bookkeeping, they didn't come up in that accounting world, so they don't even know they need to be communicating this stuff. They think as long as they doing it, sending you that P&L, the job is done. So they don't even have like the conceptual knowledge that books are supposed to be communicated, and it's supposed to be a part of your day-to-day decision making. So, to protect yourself, if they don't know this stuff, you need to know this stuff, because you don't want that tax prep mindset touching your actual day-to-day accounting. Your day-to-day bookkeeping and accounting is day-to-day stuff that's supposed to be a day-to-day part of your operation. So you just have to be careful with who you're actually working with. So before I get to the end, let me tell you a little bit about like what the actual setup is supposed to look like. So in small business, it's supposed to be holistic, right? You're supposed to have somebody doing those books day to day, working with, all of your expenses, making sure everything you do is being categorized, making sure that you have a little bit of accounting in the mix. And this is even when you don't have a lot of revenue going. If you have a lot of revenue, you're going to need all this stuff at a high level, but everybody just needs maybe a pinch of strategy, maybe a couple teaspoons of accounting. Everybody gonna need a lot of bookkeeping, because bookkeeping is gonna be the foundational piece to any of the rest of this stuff. So it always starts there, right? So any good accounting function is gonna start with really clean books, and then just depending on the size of your business, that's how much of the other stuff you need. You're gonna need somebody who's gonna interpret that stuff for you and tell you. You don't want to go to your coach talking about what does this mean. You want to be able to go to your accountant, your CFO, and ask them what does it mean. Your accountants and CFOs are supposed to be the people who speak the language of business to you. And I see a lot of people, they go ask their coach these questions, then the coach don't even use their accountants properly. So there's a lot of confusion that doesn't have to be confusing if you just work with the right type of professional. So you want bookkeeping for the clean books. You want accounting so that somebody's interpreting your books. You need, if you can afford it, as soon as you can afford it, before you get the high level mastermind coach, you need to be getting a high level mastermind level numbers translator, because you need to know what you're projecting. You need to know what your budget is. You need to know if you can budget for that coach. Like, coaches should be like putting seasoning and icing on the top of what you already built. A lot of people go around like mastermind programs and stuff, and they don't have nothing. So nobody can really help you. If you showing up with like, help me figure out what I'm supposed to do, y'all, you just some money for somebody. Everything, your coach is supposed to be able to bring the best out of you. Your coach ain't like your strategist. You can come in, Murray. Your coach ain't like your strategist. They like somebody who's supposed to like bring more out of you. You know what I'm saying? Will you see what she need, Crystal, if she needed something? But yeah, you're gonna want that bookkeeping piece to make sure everything organized. You're gonna want that accounting piece to make sure that everything is clear so that you know what's going on. You want that advisory piece so it can be forward looking. You don't want it all to be based on like what's already happened. If it stops at the accountant telling you what's already happened so that you understand, who's gonna help you plan for next step? You need that advisory. Back to the point of this video. Everybody needs tax preparation the same way that everybody needs bookkeeping. Everybody gonna need that tax preparer, and if you are worried about the tax bill, you are going to need that tax strategist. And I'm naming all of this stuff separately because they are all different pieces to the puzzle, right? And you need all of them. So being cheap in this area, being cheap in the numbers area, like you're here to make money, right? You're here to move numbers. It throws my mind off that accountants, we're so bad sometimes at communicating that people will be over here to run their numbers up and don't even see that the numbers people are like at the top of the list of people you need to have on your team. How you running up something you don't understand, because it's way more than sales. As you know, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I'm gonna finish it. As you know, sales just aren't as important as the profit. And if you don't understand what's happening between those sales and that profit, you lost, right? That's bookkeeping and accounting. That ain't coaching, and you know what I mean? That's bookkeeping and accounting. You need real bookkeepers, so you need to understand what these different people do. That's why I'm back to now the tax preparer versus tax strategist, because you're gonna need both of those things. If you're making a lot of money, you may have a tax bill, you're gonna need a tax strategist. If you ain't making a lot of profit and you may not even have a tax bill, why waste the money on tax strategies? You fixing a problem you ain't even got. You know what I mean? So you just need to know who you need to be hiring, because that is the difference between hiring somebody and paying them, I'll just say $1,000 a year versus paying somebody $10,000 a year. So don't catch yourself paying the $10,000 because you're afraid of a tax bill. Make sure you understand what you got going on, and what shows clarity there is clean books. A lot of profit, a lot of tax bill. Low profit, low tax bill. It ain't that complicated. You just need to know it, right? So the reason I talk about the way it's supposed to work, and then too, like I say all this stuff, but that's how Right Choice is built. Y'all know what I do. Y'all know what my business is. Every time you see me, if I don't have on some random polo, I'm gonna probably have on some type of Right Choice something. This is how Right Choice is built, because we are actually built to work with small business owners to help you actually grow, scale, build that generational wealth that we all started this stuff to build. So we have to start with strong accounting team. I hope if you watching this and you ain't never thought about it like that, please put in the comments that I actually helped you here, because a lot of times people we don't hire the people who can help us get to our goals the fastest. We let marketing and online noise kind of get us sometimes, but you need to understand exactly who it is you need on your team to build a strong team. I'm wrapping it up. I'm getting there. So again, that's going to be bookkeeping to make sure everything organized. That's going to be accounting to make sure you understand everything that's being organized. That's going to be that advisory, fractional CFO. It's called different things, but that's going to be like how you analyze and move forward, right? You're going to need your tax prep to make sure that your taxes are just compliant, because nobody wanted with Uncle Sam. Everybody think they wanted with Uncle Sam, but when Uncle Sam called the people who pay you and say, don't pay them another penny, give it to me. And they so scared of Uncle Sam, they're like, okay, I got it. I'm going to give it to you. I'll give it to you. You don't want that problem. And I've seen people get that problem. People are not listening to me specifically. I mean, on some Lion King stuff, they done deliberately disobeyed me and then had to find out the hard way that Uncle Sam ain't here to play. Now, we can beat him, but we got to beat him at his game. We can't play our game. That's like going out there on the basketball court and you decide you finna downset hut and throw a pass. You travel. So you already lost. Anyways, I guess that's it. Just make sure your team is tight and make sure you understand the different pieces. And if I'm being a little bit yappy, just remember that's bookkeeping, that's accounting, that's advisory or strategic level, fractional CFO, all of that's kind of the same thing. Tax preparation, tax strategy. If you're looking for a place that has all of that stuff already mapped out in our month-over-month packages, that's Right Choice. So we literally are what the right setup looks like. And it's not because, and I'm not saying this is the right setup because that's what we do. That's what we do because it's the right setup. And you know there's a key difference. That's it. Just want to quickly run back through. The title of this video really should have been tax preparation versus tax strategy, or some type of make sure you know who you're paying, make sure you're getting what you're actually paying for, and you know what to expect. There should be expectations, a little mindset, all that stuff. But I know the pain is I don't never hear from my accountant. I'm reaching out, they not reaching back. I don't know what's going on. And a lot of time that comes down to you paying the wrong professional, or you expecting something that they don't feel like you paid for. So it's not a bad accounting thing, it's a misalignment thing. So that's what I want to make super clear with this video. So now you have the tools to know maybe what you have, and you definitely should know what you need. So I hope this added a lot of value. Drop any question, especially on this one, drop any questions you have in the comments. I'll make sure I reply to all of them. And as always, man, if you hearing this, it meant something to you, you want to see more content like this, go ahead, subscribe. Crystal, what they supposed to do, hit a bell or something? Yeah, hit the bell. Y'all know Unc getting old. But hit the bell, like Crystal say, subscribe, comment, do all of the YouTube stuff. If you've been on YouTube forever, do all of that stuff, subscribe, and I will talk to you soon.